What about second breakfast?
Time for second breakfast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Second Breakfast. On today's show, we have a very special guest. It was not easy. Took a lot of effort. My people had to call his people. But we have the one and only Danger. Danger, say hello.
Hello. You do realize that my people is me? Like, you just called me or text me.
Shut up, man. We have dozens of fans. They think we're a big deal, okay?
Well,
play
I mean,
along.
as long as they think, okay, I'll play along. You called my people. Your people called me and said, so Monster will be calling you in 5 minutes. And then I said, okay, well, when Monster calls, he'll be talking to my people, and then they'll let him know that I'll answer in 5 minutes. And it took a long time to ever actually sync up on the phone, so that's why you just text me. Anyway, go ahead.
I feel like we should stop recording and start over.
No.
So the reason Danger is joining me today for Second Breakfast is because Danger and I went and saw a concert the other day. Let's see, at the time of recording this, 2 nights ago.
Yep.
And it was this little band that we've talked about once or twice on the show before.
Not many people have heard of them.
Yeah. Well, funny story about that. But we went and saw Sleep Token here in Greensboro, North Carolina. And it was quite the experience. I think we're both going to have some positives and some negatives to discuss.
Yeah.
And since we were both there, but we got there at different times, we're in different sections, I think we have some different stories. So it'd be fun that we could both talk about it. Now, you made that joke a minute ago about how not everybody knows who they are, blah, blah, blah. I was talking to our mutual friend Jason the other day and told him that we were going to a show. Me and Mrs. Monster were going to a concert at the Coliseum. He said, "Who you seeing?" And I said, "Sleep Token." And he looked at me and goes, "You got to stop making up these band names."
Like, wait. So Jason, who was at Radio Set Radio when we talked about?
No. Jason Bunch.
Okay.
Now, what's funny, though, is, I think I mentioned this on the show before, there's people like my brother-in-law who listen to 90% Christian music and then whatever his kids make him listen to. And all of a sudden, he's a huge Sleep Token fan. In fact, we had one of his little kids in the car with us the other day, and she was begging us to play Caramel on the car stereo. So it's funny how, like, some people still have no clue, and then other people that you would think would have nothing to do with Sleep Token are super into it. So, but anyway, so Sleep Token is on this huge Coliseum tour right now. We've told you our story about us trying to buy tickets. They sold out every show that they had within a matter of minutes. And it was definitely a sold-out show. And,
definitely sold out.
Yeah, so I'll start off. Let's do this. I'm going to tell my story leading up to before we get in the building, and then I want you to do the same, okay?
Okay, so we're going to start this like Tarantino. We were leaving the show, and... All right, go ahead.
So the wife and I got there. We did a little research, and it looked like doors were going to be at 6:30. So we got there around 5:45 or so, and I said, it's a sold-out show at the Coliseum. There's going to be thousands of people everywhere, so might as well just kind of figure it out. We'll get there. I knew they would have some merch outside for sale, so hey, we'll go take a look at the merch. So we get there at about 5:45 or so. Already see people lined up all over the place for like the general admission. Now we had seats. We were, in the upper level, so whatever. So we go ahead and get in line at the merch booth. Also, in the merch booth, we met a couple of fun people like waiting in line. They had 3 or 4 different people take pictures of my shirt. I was wearing my Jerry and Vessel Adventures in Arcadia shirt.
Yes, it's a very silly shirt.
Yeah, it's great. Only person I saw wearing it, so I was very proud of that. Mrs. Monster hit a home run with that shirt. So anyway,
nobody had my shirt on because I'm the only one that has one. But
I have one, but I wouldn't wear it. So, so anyway, so we're looking at the T-shirts and stuff, and I'm like, all right, I see one I like, I'll get that one. And so I get up there and I said, I'll take that one in large. We're sold out of that one. Okay. Not a different size or anything? Nope. Okay, cool. There's a lot of people standing here. You should probably let them know that the giant one that has the tour dates on the back, you don't have any. But nothing else really was calling to me.
Wait, hold on. Was it the black shirt that just said Sleep Token on the front and then the tour dates on the back?
It was something like that. Is that the one you got?
No, but I'll tell that part when it's my turn.
Okay. Yeah, you wait your turn. So, at this point, me and Mrs. Monster just start kind of walking around. That was just rude. Oh, it's going to get worse. So we're walking around, and there's people everywhere. And so we just sort of don't really know what to do. And the great staff at the Greensboro Coliseum were absolutely useless and did nothing to help us. So we just sort of piled in line with some other folks.
I was thinking when you said great staff, that was not my experience.
No, not at all. They were awful. And so we get in line, and at this point it's around 6:30, so we're thinking, okay, we'll be going inside pretty soon. Thankfully, we had nice line buddies. The couple in front of us, and then there were two girls that were right behind us, and then another group of people kind of, we were all chatting, talking, having a good time. And so at least that part was pleasant because we stood next to these people for a good long while. Because instead of opening the doors at 6:30, they didn't open the doors till around 8. Now, here's the thing. The Greensboro Coliseum Complex is what it's called. Well, now it's the First Horizon Coliseum Complex, but it's called the Coliseum Complex because there are multiple things. There is the Coliseum proper, but then there's also like the field house, which the local basketball team plays at. There's Piedmont Hall, which is a small kind of music venue that also had a sold-out show at it, and it holds around 2,000 people. So there was another couple thousand people over there. And then there's also the Greensboro Aquatic Center, which is this great big Olympic swimming thing. So we got in this line that wrapped around. It was like a snake eating its own tail. It was like serpentine around and around. We had to go from behind the Aquatic Center, up the street, around the Aquatic Center the other way, and then up the ramp just to get in. So, needless to say, it took a long-ass time to get in. And by the time we did, Thornhill was almost completely finished. Because I think they started when they opened the doors, which is real nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure Thornhill really liked that.
Yeah. No. Okay. So this is actually part of the conversation I was having while I was in line. That even if Thornhill did start right when they opened the doors, they were still playing to more people than they played for on the entire tour that I saw them on with Dayseekers.
That's
so
true.
Yeah, there's at least that. So okay, are you done with your part?
Yeah. So now you guys got there a little bit later.
Okay, so
and
I'm gonna
we're in a little different area than we were.
I'm gonna back up a little bit from that. So
okay,
that day, I had a baby shower to go to. One of my close dear friends he and his wife were having a baby, so I had a baby shower to go to. Now, that baby shower was at noon, about 10 minutes from the Coliseum. So I drove, and I live about an hour away. For those of you that don't know where, the map of North Carolina and Virginia, but okay, I live about an hour away. And so I drove from my house to his house and then back to my house. And then because I had to get Mrs. Danger, who was taking a test one of the tests that she has to take to get her teacher's license. And so big important test for her. That's why she didn't go to the baby shower with me. And so then I had to drive all the way back to the house to get her. And then we drove back to Greensboro. So it's an hour each way. And so that was a lot of driving. So with that.
Now, before you go any further, I let me say what I did on Saturday. So my wife had a fever of about 102 for the bulk of the day. So I had to take my daughter to her cheerleading. It's a flag football game. She's a cheerleader. And then had to take my other daughter to her gymnastics class. And this is while Mrs. Monster is sleeping to try to get herself ready. And then we went to lunch at Cece's, and I came home with my daughter, had awful diarrhea. And so I have that stomach problems going on, and my wife has 102 fever, and it's like, yeah, let's go to this concert.
Yeah, I text you, and I stand by it, that Cece's is a tasty colon cleanse, because I've never eaten at Cece's and then been okay for the rest of the day.
Thankfully, I kind of got it out of my system before we got on, head
literally
to the show.
Out of your system.
But, yes, literally. But I think my favorite part was your text said, she's so excited she's overheating, and you're so excited you can't hold it in.
Yeah.
And I thought, yep, there you go.
I was trying to put a positive spin on it. That's all I was trying to do.
And we needed that kind of positivity going into what we went into. Yeah.
So, actually, before the show, we drove past the Coliseum and saw all the people, and this is before we realized there was a separate show going on. But then we were like, man, the Sleep Token crowd got rather hillbilly at a certain point in line.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't understand. And so I was like, okay, should I text Monster and see if he wants if he and wife want to use dinner? And Mrs. Andrews goes, no, she has 102-degree fever. I don't need that in my life. I don't want that close to us. Like, I love them, but I just, it's not a personal thing. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. So, all right. So anyway, I think we just, went to Chili's, just grabbed food real quick, and then went back. Chili's was an option, basically. So, and we knew that we weren't going to end up like you. And so, and we didn't, thankfully. So,
good, I'm glad.
Yeah. So we go to Chili's and then come back. And, when we passed the line, it was like, okay, so, I get your own mission getting in line, but we got seats. So, it doesn't matter if we get there 5 minutes before the doors open, we're still going to get our seat, whatever, no big deal. And so she was actually saying that, she'll go get merch while Thornhill's playing, because she was like, I don't really like Thornhill. I'm like, yeah, but you haven't heard the new album. New album's completely different from what we heard when we saw them live. So
I was very much looking forward to it, and I told Mrs. Monster she would really like them, and I know she would. We saw one song. We got to our seats in time to see the last song, but
so we did end up getting to our seats to see probably like 3-4 songs, something like that. But it was enough to kind of get the feeling of it, and even Ms. Danger was like, wait, is this off the new one? Because this sounds good. I like this. And it's I knew you would. Just listen. But anyway, so we get over to the Coliseum, and then and we have to park down the street at another place, because there's a guy holding up a sign that says, parking $15. And it was like, well, that's the cheapest that we had seen. So, we just pulled right in, and it was an old strip club. So it was like, hey, strippers for parking. Yeah, but
me and the wife know a spot. There's a couple little side streets across the street from the Coliseum that if you get there, like I said, we weren't there super early. We were about maybe 45 minutes ahead of you, and all up and down the street was wide open, and we just parked down there and didn't have to pay. I mean,
$15 was not a big deal, considering that we were seeing like 50 and 60 bucks,
and 40.
Yeah,
God, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, I'll pay $15, no big deal, whatever. Since she had, if any of you had listened to or watched our Sleep Token ticket adventure, you would know that she bought the tickets. And so I was like, everything's on me, I won't be able to spend as much as you bought on the ticket tonight. So, but I was sorely mistaken on that one.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, so anyway, so we went and got in line, and it was like, the line's out here. This doesn't make any sense. Once we realized that it was like 2 different things going on, but it was like, why would they hold? Okay, so it was a band called Old 60 at Piedmont Hall, which we saw Lorna Shore there before. It's a good venue. So
yeah, I've seen a few shows there. It's very cool.
Yeah. So and then all the Old 60 people were just looking at us like we were out of our minds. Some of the girls were dressed in I don't know, I saw a girl wearing a T-shirt with a leather corset over it, and I'm like, it's very confusing. Who's the hero? Pick an option. I don't, this doesn't make any sense. It's like somebody wears a belt and suspenders. Like, why would you do that? Doesn't make any sense.
Every time I turned around, it was like, it was funny. We started to play a game in the line that we were in. It was not a hard game. It was, I wonder if we're going to see Sleep Token or Old 60. And it was like, let's see, they're wearing corpse paint and fishnets. She's wearing cowboy boots and a tank top.
Yeah, for us, it was like, what do they see in cowboy boots? Okay, Old 60. All right, like it was like that was just the defining thing. So anyway,
you had to find something to do if you're going to stand in line for 2 hours.
No, and it's absolutely true. So okay, you were in one line. I was in a different line. I didn't realize it was two separate lines because we were looking at it going, does this snake all the way around? What's happening? No, and things merged in a horrible manner at one point, and it was bad. But no, we stood in line, made friends with people around us. And it was fine. But I mean, it was one of those things where waiting in line has just kind of become part of shows at a certain point. But it's like, come on, the level of organization was just so bad. And then, like you said, Thornhill was already playing when they opened the doors, and so
at some point, I would like to go to a show where it doesn't feel like it's the first time they've had a show. Like, I just don't understand. This sold out the day it went on sale. You knew 25,000 people were getting ready to show up. You should have been prepared for it. Now, here's the part where it starts to get a little bit hairy.
Well, hold on. Before you go there.
Okay.
When you text me that same thing, and my first thought was all the shows. Okay, so I think KMFDM that we went to together actually went okay. That wasn't that bad. But when we went to the 40 Years of Tears, the sad emo concert, they had
the times off that stuff.
Yeah, I wanted Monster to go see This Wildlife, and they had already played when we showed up, and we showed up at the time the doors open on the ticket. So it's like, I mean, why does this keep happening? Go on. Sorry.
At one point, we actually had somebody from our line hop out and go ask one of the people wearing a reflective vest that had like one of the batons and was like, hey, can you kind of help us over here? There's stuff people are all over the place. He looked at him and said, that's not my job. So, okay, cool. All right, then we'll just all stomp on top of each other. A matter of fact, on our way in, we saw 2, maybe 3 different people that were just like passed out on the ground because they had been standing out there for so long.
I didn't see anybody passed out before we got in. I did see somebody pass out at some point, which I was going to get to, but you kind of jumped the line.
Oh yeah. Speaking of jumping the line, we had one friend who walked by and we started talking to her for a minute. And she was on her way to like the porta johns that were set up.
Yep,
and
I used those.
She was like, she was texting me. She was like, I'm just going to go in. And so sure enough, we were standing in line and she's sending me pictures of where she was at in front of the stage. And it was like, good for you. You're a bad person because you cut in front of everybody, but also that's probably what we should have done. It's like we got punished for being nice.
So she just walked in when everybody was still standing outside waiting?
No, well, like whenever all the merging and all that stuff happened, she was way in the back, but she went to the porta john. So then when they started letting people in, she just kind of like merged with the crowd and just like lost herself in there and got in. So
I mean, I get the organization of I get the need for lines, but at the same time, because lines do keep people from just rushing in like that.
Sure.
And so I get why it should have happened, but I also get why it shouldn't have happened. If that makes sense.
Now I'll tell you what was really infuriating is after all of that, they start to let us in, and there's a lady standing in front of the main entrance where we're heading in, and she's up there with her arms, and she's like, all right, come on, hurry up, let's go. Me, Mrs. Monster, everybody around us, that poor lady, shut the hell up! Don't tell us to hurry up. Like, she was like, we'll take our sweet ass time. We will go in at our own pace at this point.
My mom told me once that when you're on hold for a long time, and I remember as a kid, like I would just hear my mom, like the speaker phone on hold, and she would say, like I'd hear her from another room, like when they would come on, go, hold on a second, and so she was like, yeah, if they got you on hold for a long time, and they come back and they want you to get there. No, they can hold for a minute. And it's the same principle. And I get it. So anyway, so
Okay.
I did get to my seat a little before you, and I was texting you pictures and stuff. And, so I'm glad we got to our seat. But when we first got inside, because it was just so muggy and gross outside, and it was just like a slow seeping sweat, like the whole time. Like we just felt like sticky, and like to the point to where like Mrs. Danger looked at me. She's like I went to go like rub her back at one point or something, just show affection of some kind. And she just looks at me and goes, "Don't touch me. I don't want to be touched." I'm like, "Okay, I get it. It's fine." But we got inside, and I guess everybody else had the same desire to get all of the water because there was no water left.
No water.
No.
Yep.
So I drank a beer, and I think I drank like half a beer. I think I just like stopped drinking it once Sleep Token actually came on, and my bank account was empty at that point. But
thankfully, when we ran up to our seats, the first kiosk we went to had Diet Pepsi and beer, and then the next one over had some water. So we were able to get a couple waters there. Because first of all, I didn't want to spend $14 on a beer, and after standing outside for 2 hours, all we wanted was water. So
yeah, I went to one kiosk and I saw no water, and I thought I just want something cold and wet inside me, and don't do it. No.
Sounds good. So, do you know
Sometimes
why?
I hate if we do this, but go on.
Yeah. Do you know why it was delayed?
No. Now, you had texted me because we were texting in our regions of the Coliseum complex, and you had texted me something about how they played Louder Than Life the night before and whatnot. But I'm calling bullshit on that because Louisville is a 9-hour drive from we were. And I shit you not, there was a guy in front of us that we were talking to, made friends with, he and his wife, and he was in Louisville the night before. And I'm like, okay, you made it back here in time. So and that's right. I text you 9 hours by car, 12 hours by bus, just giving it extra time for a bus. And no, they had plenty of time to get here. Louder Than Life. They were playing Louder Than Life bullshit. I don't know. Not going to accept that excuse.
So, again, this is all hearsay. This is reading comments in Sleep Token fan groups and talking to people around us and everything else. And we'll get into the actual Sleep Token performance in just a minute. But on this tour, they have a massive setup. It's essentially like you're playing on the side of a mountain. Yeah, and
it's the same. It's the same setup they had for one of the festivals. Then which one was it?
Download.
Download. Yeah. If anybody saw Download videos from Download Festival, then it's the same one.
Well, here's the problem. It's also the same one they used at Louder Than Life. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think I saw any. Okay, so I have been actively avoiding, before the show, actively avoiding any sort of footage of them playing anywhere.
I had kind of an idea of what it was going to look like, but I definitely avoided the set list and everything. But looking at some comments and some people talking, what it appears is they have one set and they have one crew. Now, for most of these giant national tours with a huge setup and a ton of production, they usually have more than one. They usually have two. Taylor Swift, very famously, she's, even though Sleep Token is selling out the Coliseums, she was selling out football stadiums. It's a little bit different, but same basic principle. You have one crew that is setting up your next spot, while the other crew is tearing down last night's stuff. You see what I'm saying? So it keeps it rolling a lot smoother. From what I understand, Sleep Token did not do that. They just went with the one. And this has been a common trend of starting late at several of their shows because they have so much production that it takes a long time to set up. Now, my thought was you could open the doors to the Coliseum and you could either just keep the stage behind a giant curtain because that's how it was.
That's the whole what time they did. So, yeah.
Right. So go ahead and let the people in because you're missing out on the revenue of food sales and alcohol sales and all that stuff because You lost 2 hours worth of that, So I say go ahead and open the doors. And if you want to be extra whatever about it, you can have staff in front of the actual seating part so that people can still come in, get something to eat, get a drink, and hang out, spend their money. But instead, you made us all stand out in the parking lot for 2 hours and get pissed off and not buy anything.
So we know that Sleep Token appreciates the money because the merch prices were just absurd. Like yeah. All right, so I keep hinting at that, so we'll get there.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So I thought the same thing. I was like, all right, well, at this point, they didn't have the shirt I wanted, and so we go inside, and I'm looking around. Now, still the worst merch setup I have ever seen is the Metallica concert. And I honestly don't even know what you do to make it better, because they had, like, several merch kiosks set up, but the lines were so long that, like,
on that, because...
Yeah.
Okay, so, yes. It's almost like it was like every, I don't know, corners of the oval, if that makes sense. Yeah. There were the merch stands. And and at each one, it was like the two sides had long lines coming off of it. Now, like Thornhill, they were almost done playing, and I was like, okay, I want to go just get some merch real quick. And, we had our seats, and so I was like, I can, stick them on the floor in the seat, whatever, and we stand up and all, no big deal. And so I went and grabbed, I went to go grab some merch. So I get in line, and there's a guy that gets in line behind me, and we're in one of the long lines coming off the end, and this girl walks up and goes, hey, so there's shorter lines in the middle, just go check them out. And I was like, all right. So I looked at the guy, and I was like, okay, so, like, he seemed like a nice guy, cool guy. Yeah. So I was like, all right, if I go check out those and I see that it's short, I see there's shorter lines, I'll give you a thumbs up. If not, are you cool holding my spot in the line here, and I'll come back? He was like, yeah, sure, it's cool, go do it. And so I ran up and I checked, and sure enough, it was all of the center lines were like, I don't know, less than a quarter long of that long line. I mean, it was such a short line. So I just turned around and gave the guy a thumbs up, and he ran up. And he gave me a Sleep Token sticker. And I was like, cool, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I wonder if it's the same guy that gave us stickers. Because I was going to say, when we were standing in line, there were people running around, like, trading bracelets. And we had one lady give us a thing that you could scan to make your phone light up orange or purple.
Yeah. So I that was for the Project Atlantis or something app, and I'd actually downloaded that. I did see somebody on TikTok said, download this app for to change your phone during Damocles, which I did it, but my phone kept timing out, and it would go dark, and so like I had to keep like touching it. I was like, this is stupid. Just put my phone in my pocket, and I deleted that app yesterday. so anyway.
So I guess maybe it was just God trying to tell me not to spend that much money on tour merch, because I'll be honest with you, for a band like Sleep Token, I find their merch to be fairly uninteresting. Like like for example, I have the.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, so I have the Take Me Back to Eden shirt where it's got like each creature from each song, and I think that's pretty cool. But like so much of their merch is just like Vessel's face, and I'm a grown man. Like there's only so much of a dude's face I can wear. You
asked me to get a Sleep Token shirt for you when I saw them at Blue Ridge, and all I got was the one. The only shirt they had was one of Vessel's face, the mask and all. So okay, there was a shirt that I saw floating around, and okay, the guy in line with us. Okay. I've talked about it before, and I'll talk about it many more times. I do have an issue with when you're going to see a band play wearing the shirt of the band that you're going to see, unless it's a festival and there's a bunch of bands playing. Wear your shirt, fine, whatever. Your band's got like 45 minutes, and then they're on to another 12 bands, whatever. No big deal. So, but the guy that had the shirt, the guy in front of us in line, words are just not my friend tonight, or ever. So the guy in front of us in line had a shirt. It was a Sleep Token shirt, but it was also a Thornhill shirt. Like it had both of them on it. And I was like, "That's a neat shirt. I like that. I'll if they got one of those, I'll pick it up."
No. And then got it in the parking lot.
No, he actually when he went through Louisville the night before, he actually went by Louder Than Life and grabbed it from one of the guys selling shirts outside of Louder Than Life.
Okay, yeah. Because so after we got in, and actually on our way to get in, a guy did walk by doing the real quick thing, and we all sort of just let him go by. And in retrospect, I was like, I should just bought one. And when I was walking with everybody else, I even said out loud, and a handful of people around me started laughing. I was like, I wish that merch guy would come back. I'd buy one of his T-shirts. So what if it says Sleep Turkin? Like, whatever. At this point, it's not $40, $50. Like, it's probably $20. He takes Cash App. Let's go. But because they also said that there was a Greensboro specific shirt inside. And so the lines were super long. I didn't get in line, but I looked at the merch. I did not see anything that said Greensboro. There was sort of like a green colored shirt that I thought looked hideous.
So the green color, and I like that color green, and it's like that was my second choice. Like as I was staying in line, I was looking at all the shirts, and I was like, okay, so that tour shirt, the specific even Arcadia tour shirt, that's the first one. But then they were sold out except for small and extra large, and I was like, I was like, I don't feel like wearing a nightgown or a belly shirt, so I'm just not gonna do that. And so then. Then when I got closer, I realized that the green one is one of those T-shirts with a pocket on the front, and I hate those. I hate those shirts. And I was like, no, I will not buy that just for that. And then so I ended up getting a pink shirt that has the Sleep Token logo, the rune.
And did it have the flamingo and like the playing cards? And stuff?
It does on the back, yeah. And it says high on dice but low on cards. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like that one a little bit too.
Yeah, so I did get that one. I'm probably going to wear it to work tomorrow, but then also Mrs. Danger said she wanted a hoodie. So I was like, there's only one hoodie to choose from, and so, I'll get you a hoodie. And then I almost got the sweatpants that went with it, but I was like, nah, because the hoodie was $85. And I thought, like, part of it that I could justify to myself is I could see, like, when you threw it down on the table in front of me, I could see it like it was kind of, like a 3D effect or whatever on it. I was like, I think that's embroidered. Cool. That's, I'll take it. No, it's just puffy vinyl. It's not embroidered. And so the hoodie was $85. I think the sweatpants were another like $80. I was like, no, I'm not getting those. She can be uncomfortable and she'll be okay. And because the shirt was also $50, and I was like, so I got out of the merch booth with a hoodie and a shirt for $135, and I was like, you know what? I didn't even like buy the ticket to be here, so I can only be so mad about it. And I like to get merch for every show I go to, as we've talked about plenty of times. And
right,
yeah,
I do too.
But it hurt my feelings.
And I've justified getting shirts that like I didn't need to spend $40 on that shirt. I know I didn't, but I do love tour merch. So like when I saw Collective Soul, I got a Collective Soul tour shirt. When I saw Linkin Park, this recent tour, I got one of those shirts. And I can justify it because I like to get the tour shirt, but also they look cool. Like the Linkin Park shirt had a little design on the front, but then all these like band pictures on the back. The Collective Soul shirt was cool. It said "The World We Know" and had the earth on it and stuff. Very cool. I did not care for the Sleep Token merch. Like,
yeah, as great as they are at marketing and all the things, like their merch is just kind of underwhelming. There was a shirt that I did see people walking around in, and I was trying to find it, but it was a black shirt, and it said, Sleep Token or whatever. And it said, it had the tour dates, and it said Greensboro, North Carolina, First Horizon Coliseum on the back of it. And I was like, now that's one that I would pay that much for, because that's a very specific thing, and it's like, and I like to get those things. I'll pay a little bit extra for them. But what I almost paid extra for was Sleep Token had a North American tour exclusive vinyl, and I was like, that would be a cool thing to have. But I don't want it for after $135. I don't want it that bad. So anyway,
and then they also have, if you're a Sleep Token fan, you've probably seen these little coin medallion things
A token?
that they sell it. Yes, a token would be a good term for it. That's specific to every show, which is cool, I guess.
Yeah,
but
that's a neat
one
thing.
of them, but every one of them is just Vessel's face, and it's like I understand
Heads
that
or tails,
Vessel,
man. Heads or tails.
I understand that Vessel is like the face of the band, but it's not called Vessel. It's called Sleep Token, and everybody's anonymous. So I actually, one of my favorite shirts I saw a couple people wearing this. I think it just said it didn't have anything super crazy on the front, but on the back it looked like comic book panels from a manga, and it was like each band member had their own like bar, and it was really cool. It was like hyper stylized and bright colors. Everybody was wearing black, so it was like, that's another reason I wanted to wear my my silly shirt, because it was like, so many people take this so seriously that it's like, yes, this is important.
Oh yeah, no. There was okay. So when the show started, there was.
So before the show started,
okay,
hold on.
Sorry, we're not there yet.
No, this is really neat. This is interesting. Okay, so all the merch stuff, all that stuff, whatever. We get to our seats, and instead of the house lights coming on and music playing,
this was interesting because I was out at the merch booth when this was happening, so I didn't know any of this was going on.
So basically, as soon as Thornhill got done, they dropped this huge curtain, and the lights stay off, and wind sounds start playing. There's usually, at this point, they're either playing Britney Spears or AC/DC over the loudspeaker, but in this case, it's just wind noises. And so I was texting you. I was like,
sounds of Winward.
Yes, I think
You're
it was the sound. You're supposed. It's like climbing the mountain. Like, that's the impression that I got, because so they just do this. There's some like little computer screens popping off behind the curtain, getting the laser stuff ready, and this goes on for a little while. Now, what I will say is, I think they are technically supposed to play from 9:30 to 11, but because everything got pushed back, my first thought was, great, they're going to start late and end early. But they didn't. I will give them credit for this. They did start a few minutes late, but they did play over a little bit. Yeah, I don't think they cut anything from the set.
No, they went to 11:30, and from what I heard, they got fined for going past curfew. And but I think that was them kind of going, fine, whatever. It's our fault. We'll do it anyway. Yeah. Okay, so what I thought was funny about that is you texted me that like as I was like wrapping up at the merch booth and headed back to the seat, that they hadn't turned the house lights on and they were just playing the wind noises and all. And then I went and sat down. And I texted you back about it. I don't remember what I said back to you, but then you said like, I guess they're going to cut the set short. Awesome. And then they started like right after that. And I was like, I was like, nah, they're not starting late. They're, yeah. But I just thought it was funny timing.
So if you're a Sleep Token fan,
a sleep,
and is that what we're calling it?
I don't know. That's what I'm calling it.
I like it. It. You've probably seen pictures of this stage setup, or at the very least, some kind of description of it. But basically, it looks like this big side of a mountain, like the entrance to a cave. And up in the top kind of right corner, you have two on drums. And then kind of in the top left corner, you have the three female backup singers that also have a name, but I don't know what it is.
I can't recall their name either. So.
There's a big door like in the middle with the Sleep Token logo on top of it, where Vessel will eventually emerge. But when the set first started, he was actually up on this other thing, like on top of the stage almost, like that only got used one more time when the saxophone player showed up.
Right.
But
for just the one part that he would have anything to do. And I'm not convinced he was playing saxophone. I'm not convinced he was playing it.
You think it might have just been like tracks?
Yeah, I was looking at his hands like really hard, and from where we were sitting, it was hard to see his hands, but
Yeah.
they weren't moving, and he was making lots of noises like a Gabby Rose almost. Yeah.
So one thing I will say that again, you correct me if this is you've ever had this happen.
I have. Yeah.
This is the hold on. This is the only concert that I think I have ever been to in my entire life, small venue, huge venue, anything, where nothing was said between any song at any point. Everything was just the songs.
Yeah, this was the first time I ever had that happen, and I actually talked about that on the way home, is that it was like I'm not used to a band not talking. Now, what I will say is like, it was almost like it was just kind of a thing at Blue Ridge when I saw them where they just were just pumping out songs, and it was like, okay, fine, whatever.
Right.
But it was just kind of weird and awkward when they wouldn't, because it was like between every song, it would just go dark. And then it would kick it to the next song or light shows, whatever, which I got to say, the light show was phenomenal. Like, I really like
the
light
production
show.
is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the best looking, and honestly, one of the best sounding shows I've been to in a long time.
Okay,
the only thing, I was going to say, I do have one complaint about the sound.
I wonder if it's the same one I have.
The cymbals. I felt like the guitars, for being tuned to, A minus, whatever the hell it is, I could still kind of get it. Oh, there was one other part, though. I think it was maybe the intro to Thread the Needle, where it was just this bass, like synth bass thing that was like.
Oh, and like the ceiling was vibrating. Yeah, like I remember sitting there when it was happening and going, I've been in this Coliseum plenty of times in my life. I don't ever recall this happening.
I actually, so normally I do put I do my tissue paper trick in my ears, and this is Monster sometimes does too, but we were sitting pretty high up, a little ways back. Did not feel like it was overpowering, felt comfortable. At one point I did start to put them in, but when that happened, she immediately stuck her hands over her ears and was like, whoa.
I get it.
My teeth are rattling.
Okay,
but other than that, it sounded good.
Okay, so I would say that his vocals were too low in the mix. Like, I wish they had been bumped up, but I understand. I understand, especially a venue of that size, how hard it is to mix everything to where it sounds right for everybody in the space. Right. So I'm kind of wondering if where you guys were sitting, because you guys were in the level above us, and so I'm wondering if the sound was, if the cymbals were different there. Like, they didn't bother me at all where I was, and so I'm wondering if that had anything to do with it. But overall, I thought the sound was okay.
I think it's just that they're in such a low tuning, and they are such a bass heavy, low frequency kind of band.
They are,
that the cymbals were so like high registered that they sort of were like kind of poking me in that spot that doesn't always feel good in your ear hole. So it was like, it wasn't even the whole show. It was just like periodically I would they would kind of shine through and kind of get me. But no, I thought the sound was really good. What did you think about the set list?
I thought the set list was fine. I don't know. To be honest with you, this was kind of a strange thing for me where, okay, I've been to more concerts, shows, and whatever that I can count, and I realized something in it that having a chair is nice to be able to sit down sometimes, and I don't enjoy the show any less sitting down, and I would be perfectly fine sitting down the whole time, and I would enjoy it just as much, and cool. But at a certain point, I just kind of sat down because it was like, I'm enjoying the show, I'm enjoying all this, but, I kind of was getting burnt out on Sleep Token. I think it may have been because we've listened to Sleep Token so damn much for the show, but it was like, I would say probably about 3/4 of the way three-quarters of the way through the show, was just kind of, I was done.
So speaking of that, sitting down, where we were, it was really funny because, and I thank God for this, because we were very tired of standing at this point. And so we were right on the edge of our row, and the two people in front of us sat down. The two people beside them were standing up. Next to us was a couple that I think sat, and then the people next to them stood up. So had we been just a little bit different arrangement, we would have been stuck behind people and had to stand. So thankfully we didn't have to stand because we just didn't feel like it. However, the people in front of us, it was two couples. The girl sitting down and the girl standing up, they were having a religious experience. They were both fully in. A couple times I could have swore they were like, rubbing their eyes, like they were getting emotional. Cool. Like, I mean, if it's hitting you like that,
I'm really glad that other people have that emotional tie and that experience for it. I don't have that with Sleep Token. I did get a little verklempt with when I saw Smashing Pumpkins, but that was because I'd never seen them in my entire life, and it was like, this is a really neat thing to be a part of right now.
Yeah, we were talking about that on the ride home, and my wife was saying that, yeah, she's never had that kind of a connection with the band before. And I said, I feel like it probably happened to me one of the first couple times I saw 311, just because, but of course that wears off when you see them 15, 20 times.
When you see them 311 times?
I don't know that I've really gotten that way just based on whatever. Because I was going to say, yeah, obviously this is the Even in Arcadia tour. I think we kind of made our feelings on that album known. It's kind of fine. It's not bad, but it's not one of our favorites. But the set list was mostly Arcadia and Eden.
Yeah.
And Eden is one of my favorite albums, so that was cool. But if I had to pick a favorite album, it would probably be Sundowning.
Yeah. And
they only played one song off of it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm shocked they didn't play The Night Does Not Belong to God.
Yeah, I was a little shocked at that as well.
Because when I saw them back in 2019, now this obviously a long time ago, that was the only album they had out, that was the first song. But even after This Place Will Become Your Tomb and even Eden came out, they would still sometimes start the set with that, or at the very least play that song. So the fact that the quote-unquote deep cut was Thread the Needle, which, again, I mean, that's... I don't know, like those EPs are fine. It's just the production on them is so thin that it's hard to really like... I've never sat down and listened to those EPs from start to finish because I have a hard time getting into them.
Yeah.
So I thought that would have been a good place to play The Night Does Not Belong to God but that's a personal thing because I love that song. But yeah, so I thought the set was kind of there was a lot of parts I really liked. However, it did also make me realize something. When I was talking to my brother-in-law the other day, we were talking about Sleep Token lyrics. And we were talking about how, he's a very, serious Christian. And so he's kind of struggled with, the whole worshiping a God named Sleep and stuff. And for me, I kind of just take it with a grain of salt as it's just a marketing thing. It's just part of the lore they're creating.
It's a gimmick.
Yeah, it's a gimmick. I don't truly believe that they believe. I think it's just a gimmick. But anyway, and after I started, especially with the set list they played, I was like, they really don't sing about this deity named Sleep very much. This dude just sings about booty. That's every single song. I knew it was, just from listening over the years, but hearing so many of them back to back, I was like, this is just horny, dark trap metal. It's I can't imagine. And if you get some sort of deep emotional attachment to it, cool, no problem. That's awesome. But for me, it's just come on, you don't really take this too seriously, right? The guy in the mask is singing about doing it in the backseat of a car. Are we really going to get too emotionally attached? Come on.
All right, so okay, so where we were, the guy in front of us kept sitting down, and it was every time he sat down, I sat down because it was I know I can sit down and see just fine. But I was entertained by the people around us. So there was one girl where you had mentioned like people take it very serious. Like these two girls. I think that Sleep Token is all they've digested for the last 3 years.
I do think there is a demographic
they were on. Oh yeah,
there's a demographic that Sleep Token has become their personalities.
Yeah,
and
so
fine.
But then the other one that around us that was keeping me very entertained was it was kind of like it was looking at the stage, but he was kind of like down a little bit. And, there was one part where everybody was putting their hands in the air and not waving them like they just don't care, but just waving them back and forth.
Because they cared very deeply.
Yeah, they cared a lot. But this guy cared a lot about staying on rhythm because he was way off and then he just kind of kept stopped. And, like, I was just watching him trying to get back on and he couldn't quite get there. And at first it was hilarious, but then it just became very sad because he just kept trying. And it was like, but then it became funny again. It was like when Peter Griffin fell and like hit and hurt his knee, and it was funny, and then you got tired of it, and then So, okay.
There was a couple of moments where the crowd tried to clap, and it was like I was laughing out loud. I was like, "No, just stop. We're not even close."
Okay, so I have said many times, I'll say it again that I don't like it when the crowd claps when it's not encouraged by the band. I know the band probably feeds off of that, and it's cool. There was one time that I did see them encourage the crowd to clap, and that was fine. I was okay with it. So okay, I think it was maybe the song before the last one. I don't remember exactly which one it was. I don't remember the set list probably as well as you do, but
I have it pulled up.
Okay, so. I'd been holding go to the bathroom again, and so I went out to go pee, and then I took the opportunity to like kind of run to a couple merch tables and see if they had. There was this one like tour poster that they had, and every table was sold out of it. Like I wanted to get that because we have a bunch of tour posters and side music stuff on the wall in our bedroom, and I wanted to add it to that. And I just thought it'd be a neat thing to add. We don't have any Sleep Token stuff on the wall, so and I kind of feel like we should. But so anyway, when I came out of the bathroom. And this is, this speaks to like this community is so great that like there was this guy like walking in front of me like into the bathroom, and he was like this like like he was kind of a shorter guy, but he was like kind of stocky, like covered tattoos. Like he didn't look like somebody you want to mess with. But when I came out of the bathroom, like he came behind me a couple steps or whatever. And there was this guy laid out in the middle of the walkway, like just passed out. And I didn't know if he had like just drank too much or what, but it was like, like he kind of like kept walking, like the tough guy kept walking past. And then like I stopped. I was like, "Hey man, you okay?" Like just trying to like, get some kind of response. And then that guy just did like a quick U-turn and came back and put like the 3 T-shirts and like the beer he had, like put everything he had down. And like it stopped to like kind of like check on the guy and make sure he's okay, and like he actually got him up and moving. And I was like, I bet this doesn't happen at Old 60 show at Piedmont Hall. Like like they just left people passed out. Which when we left, we're walking down the street and there were all these people that came out of the Old 60 show, and they were like all the Sleep Token people were walking in all their outfits, and like they just kept pointing and laughing at him. This one guy was like, "Hey, nice nice dress, lady," and like. They just sound like a dick, and it's like our community is so much better. It just is.
I like I said, I had my kind of goofy shirt on, and people were taking pictures of it. And, we were talking about we obviously you see a ton of people dressed like Vessel everywhere, and that's have fun with it. I often feel like being a musician, I've played a lot of shows. So I'm kind of used to going out in this environment. Obviously, nothing like this size, but I'm used to being around live music and stuff like that. But for some people, this is the concert they're going to this year. So they are going to live it up and go all out. And good for them. Have fun, know?
Yeah, by all means, just go all in. The concert ticket was, I don't know, a small car payment. So, wear whatever you want, look however you want, be a different person than you are on, at work the next day. I don't know. Just be you, have fun. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care. Personally, I don't care what other people are wearing to the show. I'm just glad they're wearing. And, I'm glad some of them are wearing. anything. But yeah, I honestly I don't care. Go have fun, enjoy yourself. I made the TikTok video about one of the reasons why I wore the breakdown shirt was because it's like I made that video and it was like, hey, if you see me wear a breakdown shirt, come and say hey, whatever. Yeah. But I ended it by saying, have fun, respect each other, because really that's all that matters when you go to a show. Just have fun. If somebody wants to point at you and say, look, you're wearing something stupid, who cares? That guy's stupid. Yeah.
I mean, look around. Everybody was. So the whole wear a band T-shirt, like you're not supposed to wear the band's shirt. Like I've never subscribed to that. I've always been very much like
you should. It's a good rule. It's a good rule. You should.
Well, here's what I typically do. 9 times out of 10, if I'm going to see a tour, I typically wear a 311 shirt anyway. So just because it's like, I don't know, because half my wardrobe is 311 shirts. But at 311 shows specifically, it's almost encouraged to wear a 311 shirt because it's very much like a conversation starter.
Sorry, I just got an idea. I'm going to make a shirt that what's the 311 thing everybody says? Stay positive and love your life. Yes. I'm going to make a crossover shirt. It's going to say stay positive and love your token. Make one and you're going to get it.
I don't want to be the token person with that shirt.
You're going to be the token guy. Yeah. So anyway.
But anyway, I felt like that was kind of happening with the sleep token thing because, I remember talking to people. We were all swapping our stories. The people next to us were at the Blue Ridge debacle that you were at.
Yeah, actually, the guy in the merch line behind me was at Blue Ridge. So.
Yeah, when we were sitting down, the guy behind us was telling his buddy about seeing him on that Issues tour back in 2019. And I turned around, I was like, hey, I was, where did you see him? He saw him in Denver. I was like, I was in Charlotte, and I said, we were close enough to almost touch him, and now they're selling out the Coliseum. One other funny thing, can't remember which song it was, but at the beginning of one of the songs, Vessel starts out by laying at the front of the stage.
Yep.
And so the first thing that came to my mind was The Simpsons, where Homer sees Ned Flanders in the super tight ski outfit, and he says, "Stupid, sexy Flanders." So just without even thinking about it, I yelled, "Stupid, sexy Vessel."
That was you?
Okay, well, after the show, a guy a couple seats down turned around and goes, "Were you the guy that yelled stupid sexy Vessel?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "That cracked me up." And I was like, I didn't really yell it. I was surprised he heard it.
All right. So I do want to throw this out there. So I don't feel like anything that Sleep Token does is by accident, and so the one thing I really took away from the show was because I was looking for stuff all within it, because I was just looking for something that would mean something down the road, whatever. And the one thing I put together is, they got their rune, their symbol up on at the top of the mountain side, whatever. I don't know. So it kept flashing in force every time. It was flashing in force. It would be the doorway thing in the middle, and then it would be one line, and then two lines, and then it would be the cross, the lines that cross with the lines on the sides, with the slanted ones. And so my thought on that, and if this video ends up surfacing, I don't know, let's say 15 years from now, and none of this is true, fine, whatever, I don't care. But I think they're only going to release 3 more albums, because this first one, in the longitude latitude website code that people found, the doorway with the little lines coming up top was the doorway to that tomb. And so I'm thinking that because it kept flashing multiple times in the 4s, that each one of those is going to be a different album, basically.
What about the colors? Do you think there's a significance to the colors they used at different points?
I don't know. I think there may be, but they used so many colors that I think it was just trying to come up with something different.
speaking of which, I was talking to the wife about that too. Like, especially at the very beginning during like the first song, it's just flashing like pink and purple and green, and it's like it's so cool that they have all this dark, creepy imagery, but then they use these bright colors.
Yeah.
Which again, that's kind of why I like that pink shirt. Like I love the fact that their main like I don't know like logo right now is a flamingo. Like
Right.
I just think that I
black
like
flamingo,
that
but
part.
yeah.
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 And then also, I don't know what you can say about the stage presence because, yes, they are a lot of fun to watch, but it's funny. Like, I mean, for as dark and foreboding and as serious as they get, the way Vessel prances around the stage and, like, poses and stuff,
Yeah.
it's silly.
Vessel has made it okay for all of us to dance terrible.
So this was really funny. Did you catch? My wife blinked. She missed it. But during one of the songs, there was a pause in the music.
Yeah, I caught it.
And he like posed almost like the crane kick or
Right.
something.
Well, it's like a strobe light was going, and it's like it like came on, and I don't know if he posed or if it just like flashed where he was at that point. But when that happened, it was like
he knew it was coming.
well, it may have been a time thing, something you practiced and all. But
Yeah.
it's like when that happened, I was like, okay, that was funny, but the crowd went absolutely nuts for it. And I was like, Vessel can do anything, and the crowd's going to go nuts for it. So
Yeah, that is the interesting thing is like this person as a. And this might sound like a stretch at first, but if you really think about what we were just talking about, the way people were reacting, he has sort of become a bit of like a deity to some of these people.
I don't
And
think you're wrong there.
I don't think that's super healthy, but hey, that's on you, not me.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was checking a look at the set list, and so altogether they played 15 songs, which Sleep Token songs are fairly long. So they did play until a little after 11. They started at 9:40. They went till about 11:15, I think, something like that. But yeah, to your point, they did go over, so I do appreciate the fact that they did that. Now, what's funny, though, is, like we said, it didn't say a word between any of the songs. There was no Goodnight Springton, there will be no encore, like there was nothing. And the only reason we knew it was over was because
Vessel put on a guitar?
the three of them, yes, Vessel put on a guitar, and the three of them walked to the front of the stage and kind of posed for the last couple measures of the song.
Right.
And then they shot out confetti, which, by the way, the most confetti I've ever seen a band do. They were shooting confetti for the first two songs, the last couple songs.
Well, I don't think it was shooting confetti for the first two songs. I think they did for the first song, and then the confetti cannons just didn't turn off and were just slowly leaking confetti the rest of the time because it just went on for a long time. It was just a slow trickle of confetti, but I mean, it was cool. It was fun.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, is there anything else you wanted to add? I feel like
No, I realize that not only does a chair not take anything away from a show, it helps me enjoy the show, but it doesn't matter. As a 40-year-old man, I'm just tired after all shows because, we didn't end up getting back to the house until probably about 1:30. Went to the gas station afterwards to grab some snacks and whatnot for the drive, and everybody there had just come from the show, and I could tell because they were all in Sleep Token shirts, and then this girl had on the Peak shirt, and I was like, she has my shirt, and yeah.
we went a little out, so where we live is Brown Summit, which is a little north of Greensboro, but we tell people we live in Greensboro because no one's ever heard of Brown Summit. But it's
easier to say Greensboro than Brown Summit. I get it.
So we waited till we got out of the Coliseum area and started heading back towards home, and then stopped about halfway. And
actually, we went to the Sheets in Brown Summit, and that's where we saw all the people in Sleep Token shirts. So
the one on 29?
Yeah.
So we stopped right before that cone exit, and we went to Wendy's.
Okay.
We almost went to Sheets. We did talk about it. That would have been funny.
So okay, it was a fun show. So I appreciate the stage setup and all the rock wall thing, but I really like 2 had a really great drum solo, but I wish I would have been able to see him better. Like I really wish they had used those 2 big screens on the side to give us some closer views of the band. But outside of that, I didn't really have any complaints.
Obviously, they have a vision and they want that. The wall, that was a very creative thing. I've never really seen any other band do that, so it's a really neat setup. But they are kind of at a point now where they could have almost done like the Metallica thing. Not at a football stadium, but at the Greensboro Coliseum. I feel like they could have done the middle of the room stage.
Yeah,
and
that would have been a neat thing, but then they would have been exposed from all sides, and they wouldn't have they would have had a hard time keeping their secret.
Exactly. And so that's the thing is, the rise of Sleep Token has been like exponentially faster than I think anybody. So I don't necessarily blame them for these shows starting late, the tour logistics being a little off, because that was something else we were talking about out in the parking lot. Was if you are going to have a production this large, you have to have time to get it there and set it up. So when you're doing like, you played a festival last night and now you're coming here, I don't care if it's in the same state. That's a whole lot of work to pull off in the scope of like 24 hours. So I think this is just a young band. I don't know who their management is. I don't know who the tour managers are. Doesn't matter. I just get the impression that they are trying to give this great big giant performance. And during the actual performance, I think they did. I just think the logistics of all of it is a little rough around the edges.
Yeah. So, anyway, got back to the house about 1:30. Didn't get to sleep till about 2:30, and I'm old and I can't do that anymore because I've been exhausted ever since. So, with that.
I'm pretty much used to it by now, but yeah, it was actually a pretty early show because the last couple of shows I've been to were in either Charlotte or Raleigh. Weren't getting home till like 3 a.m, so getting home around midnight and going to bed around 1 was wonderful. Yeah,
it didn't help that the kids had their alarm still set and went off on a Sunday at 5:30 in the morning. So anyway, with all that,
So that was our experience. That was our trip to Arcadia with Sleep Token in Greensboro.
We were in Greensboro, but I mean, even in Arcadia, it's still fun.
We were transported to a whole other world.
The Coliseum.
If you went to this show or you've seen Sleep Token live, I don't know what kind of setup they had on that other American tour they did a couple years ago where they were much smaller venues, but again, sold them out in a matter of minutes.
When they were, they almost saw their rise on that tour. So,
yeah.
When they were with Nothing More and somebody else, I can't remember who it was, but yeah.
I think it was like the Bastards of New York or something real weird name. But anyway, it doesn't matter. If any of our listeners, viewers, whatever, you went to this tour, how did it go? Did you get stuck in a line for 2 hours? Did everything go smoothly? How was Thornhill? I would have loved to see them. Be sure to leave a comment, send us an email, breakdownsbreakfast@gmail.com. All the usual socials, Facebook, Instagram, X, all that stuff. Come hang out. Talk to us. We'd love to hear your feedback. Anything else, Danger? That's all I got.
No, I got nothing else.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, and